You said you're going from this podcast straight into therapy?
Immediately into therapy because we'll record for like an hour and then yeah, I've got therapy at 2. And he's got an intern. He was like, "Can an intern sit in on this?" And I was like, "Yeah, what am I gonna say? No?"
I don't know why I never picture a therapist as like a man. I guess that's not I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't talk well about my feelings, so I'm like other men can't talk well about their feelings or be emotionally connected.
That's crazy. You and I tour around together and I talk about my emotions and feelings really well.
We don't talk about our feelings ever. We talk about it for like maybe 2 minutes. It'll be like, yeah, this is tough, and then a Sturgill Simpson song will come on, and you'll turn it up, and you'll be like, oh fuck yeah, and then that's the end of the conversation. That's what happens every time.
Yeah, but that's because you don't like those conversations.
I'm fine with those conversations, but we can't solve that problem right there in the moment.
No, you're I'm glad you're going to therapy because your, ability to maintain an emotional conversation is hilarious. It's a fun yeah, I use music as a way to connect to you, to see if together we will bond over this song to bring up an emotion, and then I'll be like, "That's a great song," and you'll go, "Yep." And then we'll just continue on driving 22 hours from Seattle to Denver, listening to podcasts together. It's a great relationship that we have, but, it definitely purely working.
Nah, we're just guys being dudes. That's
Guys
Amy will talk to me and she'll like from that drive we did from Seattle to Denver, she's like, "How's Darla?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she's like, "You and Steven were in the car for 20 hours and y'all didn't talk about like Steven's life or his relationship." I was like, "No." She goes, "What y'all talk about?" I was like, "We talked a lot about wrestling."
we talk about things that you can have an opinion on. It's like, you can't have an opinion on my relationship or, the only insight you would have is on something that I'm doing actively in the moment, and we go through that we check in with each other, I feel like,
Sure.
I feel like we can check each other, but yeah, no, I have got no idea what's going on in your relationship, nor do I really wanna know unless you wanna tell me, and then I'm locked in.
Nah, we'll see how this therapy goes and if I want to talk to other people cuz right now I'm talking to one person about my relationship and that's it. Well, two if you include the person I'm in the relationship with.
Nice, yeah, it's nice. My therapist has been my therapist for 8 years, so I really don't think of women as therapists. I've only had 2 women therapists. I guess most of them have been,
You've been
and
going to
I've left
therapy
them.
for 8 years?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
I might be a poster child for why you shouldn't go to therapy. Like, my life hasn't gotten better at all.
Damn, dude, that's actually okay. You know, everyone I know in Denver, like millennials go to therapy. I never knew people growing up who would even talk about going to therapy.
No, I didn't either. I I don't think that I was, like, pro therapy until I was in therapy. Like, eventually you find yourself at a it's like AA. You're like, "I would never go to AA," and then you're at a point in your life where you're like, "I think I need to go to AA," and then everybody has the same feeling, which is like, "Oh, I like AA." It's the same as therapy. It's, like, amazing what can happen when you talk about your feelings openly.
I mean, AA and therapy could have the same slogan. Keep coming back because it works if you work it.
Amen. That's all it is. It's honestly my therapist. We don't get into too many deep-seated emotions, which is nice because I've already usually I kind of present those as like, I feel like this is what it's connected to. My only question is, am I crazy? I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not like clinically insane.
I
And
wouldn't say that you're
then,
crazy.
huh?
I wouldn't say that you're crazy.
No, I wouldn't either, but I do need a professional's opinion sometimes. I just need a little validation that I'm not being insane.
Yeah, I guess we
And
all need that.
that goes a long way for me. But yeah, going to therapy right after this. And I feel like I treat my therapy sessions like their podcast anyway.
Uh, I mean, isn't
Like,
that's what it is basically, just a back and forth podcast. I mean, take it from someone who's gone to therapy twice.
sure. And you have a
That's
lady therapist?
I do.
And how do you resist the urge to explain everything to her?
I mean, that's all it's been so far. I walked in, I didn't see a degree on the wall. I was like, "All right, well, let me start this off by teaching her how to do this."
I do like that idea of, like I did a comedy show at a women's shelter that was like a secret show, so you didn't know where you were going until you got there, and then you show up and it's like this women's shelter thrift store where they, protect, I guess, just not women's, but, battered people, and I was like, "It's gonna be so funny if there's, like, I guess not so funny, but I guess it would be ironic if there was, somebody committing DV regularly who bought tickets to that show and ended up in the crowd and was like, "What are you trying to are you trying to what are you trying to say? Are you how did you get us here?"
Yeah, dude. You walked into that shelter and you were like, "Man, hey, you know what? Here are some things y'all could be doing to make this business run a lot better." And you
Dude,
just start explaining it.
they had a Larry the Cable Guy cup, and, I almost bought that. They had a
Okay.
hat, a Pig Suey hat, an Arkansas hat that said "Make America Oink Again." It's really hard not to buy it, but I threw it out to somebody in the crowd, and then he just thought he could take it. I was like, "No, dude, you still have to this isn't my merch. Yes, you have to pay for it."
Dude, that's actually a good bit because I've also performed in a thrift shop. I mean, if you're a comedian, you're going to perform in some weird places, and just like start throwing stuff to people in the crowd and just being like, "Hey, this is it." I was at one in Alaska and they had a bunch of dick candles. Like I'm talking like dozens of dick candles, and these were huge. And so I walked up there. I was like, "This is gonna be fucking hilarious." And I started my set with like Wolverine with like a dick candle in each finger, and I was like, "Look at this!" Bombed maybe harder than I've ever bombed. My parents were in the crowd. My mom and dad were with me, and I was just like, "Well, mom just saw me start off with a fistful of dicks."
You're not gonna believe the punchline, "Look at this." The the same thing that your seven-year-old cousin tells you when he puts bugles on his fingers. "Hey, look at me real quick."
I mean, what am I supposed to do? Have some kind of introspection about these dick candles? That's what you're supposed to do. You go, wow, dick candle, and that's the extent of what that product is.
No, there's any line you could have double on time. Anybody wanna get fingered? And then you got a bunch of dicks on your fingers. It's you could have done anything. I'm
Oh,
glad watching your parents watching you bomb is one of the worst feelings on planet Earth. My dad has seen it so much that I had to start roasting him. Like, he was in the front row, and I was like, "Look at my dad, he wore these shoes out. Dad, give me your shoes." And then I had to take my dad's shoes to save my bomb. One time I did it in a hookah lounge, and my mom just smoked hookah in the front row while I fucking tanked. She, like,
wasn't
blew
she like
smoke rings.
right, dude? Yeah, we've talked to your mom about that, and I remember she came to see our show in Florida, and I asked her, I was like, "Katie, do you remember this?" And just a voice in the darkness goes, "Oh, I remember it well."
She'll never forget, dude. That was my 9/11, and she was Al Qaeda.
Here on the Learning with Lewin podcast, Steven's mom is Al Qaeda.
Yeah, dude. She would be so pissed if she heard that, dude. She was like such a redneck mom. I remember I had to do like a political cartoon class or like a project in class, and she was trying to say that I should get planes instead of dropping bombs, that they were dropping pigs in parachutes over the Middle East.
She said that
Like,
that was her suggestion to
that was
you.
her suggestion, and my feedback was, "I don't think I could draw it." Seems difficult.
Yeah, I can't
So,
draw those pigs with all these dicks in my fingers.
yeah, I'm covered in bugle dust.
So this is what episode 3 of the Learning with Lou and Steven podcast.
Yeah, I mean, the name's in the title, you gotta say it every time.
Yeah, I do because I need an introduction to. I got that kind of ADHD. I'm like, all right, we've been wasting time. The first 10 minutes of this just shooting the shit. Gotta let the people know that we've started.
God forbid we have a good time. We
Yeah,
need
we
to
just
put
did
a
the cold
stop to
open.
this.
The cold open was calling your mom Al Qaeda and talking about dick candles.
That's a great way to start this educational podcast. The whole point is that we're supposed to learn something, and, I feel like we've learned a lot just in these past 10 minutes.
I mean, yeah, we talked about therapy and I guess gendered stereotypes when it comes to certain careers.
Yeah, and how you're misogynistic and uninterested in my relationship. We've learned a lot.
All right, so I feel like you should have gone to therapy before we did the podcast today.
You're attacking now. I think it's you know what it is? I've got a lot of pent up rage from not seeing you in a month. This is the longest we've been apart in years.
Dude, it's a month of longs right now. Um, Amy and my roommate Sky are coming back to. They've been gone for 10 days. I've been around my house for 10 days talking to nobody. And then you and I haven't seen each other in a month. And so it's just the May has been a month of solitude for me.
Oh, you just get to sit in it. See, that's why we're talking about therapy.
Dude, my house is so clean. I'm just like so bored. I'm just like walking around like, all right, I guess I'll vacuum again.
I do love that when you're doing chores because you're bored. Just like there's no worse feeling than cleaning a clean mirror.
Yeah. Just like, all right,
Just
now I can
adding
yeah, now there's a shine on how shitty I feel about being so alone.
yeah, just looking at yourself going, "Just you. Just you."
That's it.
What
Yeah.
about you? What have you been up to? I mean, you're dealing with them being gone. Have you, like, done shows or anything?
Yeah, I went to a bunch of mics, and they went well. I was really excited to not do teacher jokes, and I didn't. So they've been really good. Turns out when I don't do teacher jokes, my default has been 9/11. So
You're not gonna believe it.
yeah, maybe I'm just an open micer at heart.
That's fun. I got a new bit about fighting with my ex-wife at CC's.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
and it's going pretty well.
isn't that where you and her would go to fight?
Oh, yeah, no, it's based in reality, but it's just the idea that I like to de-escalate rather than escalate. Like, I'm not a big fighter, uh, because you know me, I'm not like an aggressive person. I'm just big. I'm just a large man. So I was talking about fighting, and then I remembered that me and my ex-wife used to not be good at fighting in private. So we started fighting in public, like on purpose, like being like, okay, well, we need to like have a place where we can go. Cause if you're in public, you're you're probably going to tone it down a little bit.
Dude, I
And
don't know. CC's has fighting energy. Everything is
so
greasy. Kids are there. There's arcades and shit. Like if that shit would escalate me, I'm like, I don't give a fucking CC's.
exactly. I think that's the point, right? Is there are some places where it's allowed to fight, like a Waffle House or a Chuck E. Cheese. You are like allowed to fight in these places. But at CC's, it's like expected. It's like, this is what you should be doing here. Nobody's gonna call the cops on a CC's pizza. If they did, the cops won't come. It's like a no-go zone in in Europe. The cops are
Come around here no more. You by yourself.
it's the autonomous zone in Seattle. It was started by a CC's Pizza. They were like, "We're not gonna go there. It's a lawless wasteland." And so me and my ex, instead of being like, "Hey, we're gonna have a really tough talk," like, "We just need to hash this out," we would have, "Hey, we need to go to CC's." And that was code for like, "All right, there's some big conversations at hand that need to be had."
Would y'all eat at the
Of
CC's?
course we're eating. Are you kidding me? I'm not gonna go to CC's and not eat. I'm not a maniac.
Dude, that would be the catalyst for me because I like most foods, but I swear CC's Pizza is like I went there once like when I was like 26 and I was like, "Oh, CC's, it can't be that bad." And I went in and I was furious at the state of everything. I would sit down to that CC's, I'd take one bite of pizza and I'd be like, "All right, it's time to get fucking divorced. Let's see if we can crack this off."
Well, foreshadowing. It turns out CC's is like a gun. It's gonna end something. It's gonna something is
Did
gonna disappear.
did neither of y'all think that was psychotic?
I still don't think it's psychotic. I think if you're in a relationship and here's what I would say. If you can't fight in private, you probably shouldn't be in a relationship. That's kind of where I'm at now. But if you can't fight in private and you're married, you're obligated to be together, you've signed a contract like an idiot, then have a public place to fight. Whatever's closest to you. Let it be a TJ Maxx. That's a great place to fight. CC's, great place to fight. You wanted like Walmart is okay, but they've kind of gotten a little too bougie. An Aldi, you can
You can fight in an
fight
Aldi.
at an Aldi. You can throw hands at an Aldi. They don't have enough workers. If you just pay them a quarter, you can box.
I think Ross would probably be the worst place to fight because you walk in and you're going to be like the third couple that is fighting that day.
Yes. Yeah.
And
You
you're just
want
like, yeah, and that's like Ross. You start getting like weapons and shit. Like I don't want to
right.
have to choke someone out with a 2004 Los Angeles Sparks jersey.
Yeah, and and this is why you don't do Waffle House, because like Waffle House, the employees are trained in combat. Like that's a part of orientation is defending yourself with a weapon and against a weapon, right? But like at a TJ Maxx or a CC's Pizza, it's a 16-year-old who's trying to lose his virginity to the older GM. It's they got
Right.
other things that they're concerned about, and they're high. They're not interested. They're not high on methamphetamine like Waffle House employees. They're on, downers, and that's what you need. You need to find a business that has a bunch of downers and low standards. Which I think TJ Maxx is kind of Ross. Those people are on uppers.
Yeah. Yeah. Ross is you'll escalate at a Ross.
At a Ross, you could trade a weed eater for some clothes.
Yeah.
A
And vice
stolen
versa.
weed eater, yeah, a wiped, a trailer hitch. You could get them anything that you want. Some copper wires. You could trade that for a 2004 LA Sparks jersey for sure.
I think I would choose like an Ace Hardware to go fight at
Ooh, Ace Hardware, a little small, high standards. Give me your opinions. Why?
because like you go to Ace Hardware and it's like generally quiet enough that you have to like have a conversation and partway through you're going to find something to be like, "Oh, that's neat." And you and her will like bond together and then y'all be like, "You know what? We really don't need a pellet grill and at least we can agree on that."
Okay, so what you're saying is this is like an actual good place to fight with your significant other
Yes, because you'll
because you
come to
can.
a conclusion and likely you'll leave with something. Like you'll come away with, "Oh, we could use like a heater. Or, oh, I've always
Yes.
wanted to garden. Let me get a bag of topsoil."
This is the equivalent of everybody knows these partners that like hate each other, so the only thing like they share no interest. So the only thing they can watch on TV is HGTV,
Mhm.
Property Brothers, and they're just dreaming of the house that it could be. When you're at your worst, when you're at your darkest point with your significant other, I think a hardware store is a good idea. I think Ace Hardware is good. I think that's a good call because you will get distracted by the thoughts of the future, and that will remind you of the future without that person. And you realize you don't want to be without that person. You want to be without a pellet grill. I like this. I like this as an idea. That's probably why I got divorced is because I chose CC's.
Yeah, you chose a place that should be left in the past and not building towards your future.
That's, you know what? I think a really good point because an Ace Hardware feels like a local business, even if it's not.
Yeah.
You don't want to fight at a Home Depot or a Lowe's. Those are bad vibes. Those are, you let
Yeah,
contractors fight there.
exactly. You go there, you say, "Hey, we've had that picture in that frame that we've needed to hang up for 6 months. We got let's get some nails and add to our life."
Absolutely. Let's go print out some pictures at the Walgreens and we're going to buy some Sour Patch Kids on the way.
And generally next to Ace Hardware, there's a liquor store. So you can just pop from one right into the other and say, "Now let's go have a Sunday."
Yeah, babe, here's what we need to soothe over this relationship spat a buzzball.
Exactly.
Do
And
you
then
want
you
to do little
restart.
shooters of fireball in between each argument point?
That's how married men, that's why they have so many projects because they keep going to fights at the Ace Hardware, then they get drunk and restart, and that's why they're like, "Well, fuck, now I have to have a shed or I
I
have to have
guess
a,
I
f- a
have to
f-"
build another patio.
Yeah, exactly.
3 patios on a house, one side doesn't even have a door.
We've cracked it. This is the mailbag. That's what this show is.
And dude, we still gotta figure out lonely mailbag. I think that idea has legs. I think there's something there. I think you know what? I've had a lot of people reaching out over this past week talking about the Chud the Builder situation.
Oh, yeah?
And, yeah, and, like, how they have cousins or friends who were, like, dudes like that who just were weird and not accepted, and you and I think, went through the same thing. You wore a kilt, you know, we weren't exactly,
Right.
hot shit, so we've definitely been lonely before. Look at you right now. This is, you know, 10 days, you're by yourself. You could be red pilled right now if you weren't, if you were more of a chud.
Dude, I was thinking about that. I was like, man, I could really easily be red pilled just being bored, being like, all right, well, I'm so bored. There must be someone responsible for my boredness. It
Yes,
can't be the boys.
it's gotta be them. They're doing it to us. And then you're like, "Who's they?" And it's like, that'll take you down some rabbit hole. I just read this is Learnin with Lou and Steven, right? So, I just read a book for the first time in, 4 months.
What was it?
The Devil in the White City. That's a book about the Chicago World's Fair, and
Oh
the
yeah, you've been carrying that around in your backpack for like a year and a half.
okay, but I just started reading it, like, really reading it. It wasn't a year and a half, so it was, an maybe 6 months. Anyway, not really the point. The point is that I learned something, and that was all about the Chicago World's Fair. The book is incredible.
Oh,
Highly
is that the one?
recommend.
Is that the one you posted about? Like a bunch of people got hospitalized for like flatulence.
A bunch of people, well, not a bunch of people, it was like everybody got hospitalized for normal stuff that you would be hospitalized for today. It was like, they had on average daily about 80 to probably like 120 to 200,000 people a day.
Oh my
And on
god.
their biggest day, they had like 750,000 and they had 16,000 hospitalizations. And it was like diarrhea, uh, uh, diarrhea, nausea, um, flu-like symptoms, and then it was one case of extreme flatulence, which is like, there's always one person at an amusement park that's like, "I've had a bunch of popcorn and I did the wopsy whoopsie, and now my body is revolting." But
Dude,
dude,
I bet you that guy shit his pants and then he asked or like slipped a 20 to like the nurses and like, y'all got to tell him that I just had gas. Please
you
don't let
can't put it
everyone
on my
know.
charts, please.
Yeah. Please don't let everyone know I shat myself all the way to the hospital.
Yeah, because that was kinda what I thought is like, "Oh, this is such a long time ago, they probably don't even have, like, a record of that." But then it was like, they have records of why everybody went to the hospital at the Chicago World's Fair and at everything, like, for as long as we can physically remember. Like, they were documenting all this stuff, and that was
Yeah.
kind of crazy to me. I was like, "Oh, yeah, these people were smart." They built the first Ferris wheel for this festival, or for the fair.
That was the first ever Ferris wheel.
The first, because they were trying to compete with Paris 4 years before that did the fucking Eiffel Tower.
Ah, man, big swing and a miss on that one.
Well, now here's the thing, when it first came like, if you see the original Ferris wheel, you're more amazed that it is functioning, but it's kind of a crazy thought to think about, like, nobody had ever done this before, and it's not like it is now. They were like cattle cars, like freight train cars. So you'd have like 100 people in a car going around the Ferris wheel.
Was it going like fast?
No, I don't think so, but it was, you do 2 revolutions and then you're out. But,
And then get the fuck out, go to the snack stand, get some heroin funnel cake or whatever was going to give you that flatulence.
yeah. Well, dude, they had food from all over the world. So I imagine, they just went to Nepalese village, had some, goat curry, and then we're like, "What has happened to me? I'm a boy from Chicago."
Oh, so that's what happened is they went to all the different cultures and someone was like, "Man, these fucking these white people need us to make something. Y'all want to fuck with them?"
Yeah, they hit an Epcot.
Yeah, exactly what it is. That's that's like eating in Louisiana. We've had like squirrel and rabbit and shit, but it's not like I'm not purchasing that every time I go to the grocery store. But if someone from New York asks me that, I'm like, yeah, man, I've eaten fucking armadillo, I've
Right?
eaten possum. I'll scrape it up off the side of the road because I'm like, I'm gonna fuck with this dude.
Yeah, I'll skin a snake in front of you and deep throat it. And they're like, "What? Tastes
Exactly.
good." Yeah, it's wild, like, the influence and the scope that it had, because like, Walt Disney's dad worked on the fair, so, like, he had his dad talking about the Chicago World's Fair. He wasn't alive yet, and then when he was in Kansas City, he would go to Electric Park, which, like, the reason they call it the White City is because they painted everything white, and then they had white lights. And so at night, like, they would turn on the lights and people would go, and clap. Like, this is how stupid these people are. They're like, "Oh my god." They're like they feel like they're on the first chapter of Genesis.
I mean, that was back when like the only colors you could wear like clothing or cars or anything was black. So they were like, "Oh my god, it's something different." And
There's no
everything was like
way that's
covered in
true.
dirt. It was like covered. Well, if you look at pictures from back in the early 1900s, everyone was wearing black coats and black hats, and all the cars are black and everything like that. So they're like, "This is a different part of the color spectrum."
Lewis, why are pictures in the 18 and 1900s everybody's
Bro,
wearing black?
brother, no, go look at colorized.
Lewis,
Go look at colorized film.
the cars were black. Their clothes were not black. They
A
had
lot of them were.
Well, now I'm sure a lot of them were, and that's because capitalism is a hellscape, but they were not all black. They had other
They had like
colors.
white button downs, but everyone was wearing like three-piece suits to the beach.
How did we go from France having all of the millions of different colored clothes to America has just black? I don't believe that. When did we get blue jeans?
We got blue shit. See, I put my computer far away from me today because you bitched at me last episode about being
I
on my
just want you to
computer.
tell me what you feel.
I feel like we got blue jeans. I don't know, 1920s is when they, and then they became popularized in the 50s and 60s.
All right, actually, I'm gonna believe that, but I'm still gonna hold that there are other. They had tie colors. This is beyond the point. Anyway, they had a bunch of electricity, and that was kind of the thing. But Disney would go to Electric Park in Kansas City every day, and they would do fireworks and shit. And like to do the World's Fair, that's got to be where Epcot comes from.
Gotta be.
Got to be.
I mean, so I mean, I spent a lot of time at Disney. I think Epcot was originally supposed to be like its own community. It was supposed to be like I used to live in Celebration, Florida, which is owned by Disney, and it's like a subsection south of Orlando. And it's I think Epcot was supposed to be like um more of that. Like it was supposed to have apartment complexes and houses and shops and everything, and you were supposed to like live on Disney property and like be a part of the park. And then he died beforehand.
Oh,
I'm almost
R.I.P.
positive that that's what Epcot was supposed to be, and it's supposed to be like a city of the future.
Did you ever drink around the world there? A lot of people were getting hammered at the World's Fair.
Oh, dude, I Epcot is my favorite Disney park because I like to drink beer. I like to experience different cultures, which is that's the closest I could get. And then, yeah, that may have been the last time I threw up in public. Was drinking around the world at Disney.
Amazing.
I know.
Amazing
You
to
know,
puke at Disney World.
turns out you walk around in like 109-degree heat and you drink 26 pints. Not 26, probably closer to 18, but there's also like two or three shots in there. And then you're just hot as fuck, no water. I never threw up in the park, but in the parking lot, that was your boy.
Somehow not the dumbest thing that's been done at a Disney World parking lot.
Yeah.
The dumbest thing is me throwing our rental car keys on
Oh
top of the
my
parking garage.
fucking God, dude. I was legitimately like, I cannot believe that you, while tossing your keys and fucking up, just like tried to do like a backboard shot with our keys, leaving Disney Springs, and got them caught on a ledge that was like 15 feet up. As we were about to go to the airport and leave, like Florida, we had a flight to catch, and you threw our keys into a place we could not get.
Yeah, we had no access to. And I didn't think. That's the end of that sentence. I didn't think. I just was tossing the keys, and then they didn't come down. They just stayed. They landed on a I've never been more embarrassed walking up to a security guard and saying, "Do you can you help me? Do you
Do you
have a
have a
ladder?
broom?
Do you have a broom?"
Dude,
But
so initially when you were doing that, I had like walked around the other side of the wall to look at the garden, and then I didn't see what you did. I just heard you go, Lou, and I was like, "What is he, a fucking child that just lost his dad?"
that was
So that's like my
exactly the
first thought.
feeling that was the exact feeling I had. You know that feeling where you go, "Oh, I have messed up, and there's nobody else to blame. This is 100% my fault." I felt just like a 10-year-old being like, "Oh, I'm about to learn a lesson."
Dude, and it's such a good thing that I'm not an angry human being or like frustrated because like the most I did was I just went, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" But like I was also kind of laughing because it was so dumb
It's one of
that
the stupidest things that's ever happened.
I was like, this I was like, this is so dumb that I have to laugh. And if we miss our flights, I'm gonna bring this up every day for the rest of our fucking lives.
Yeah, I do feel like you and I have that, benefit in our relationship that we don't get frustrated because we know it can be weaponized in the future.
Uh I just don't like the feeling of anybody hating me, regardless of if I have a legitimate reason to be angry,
Sure,
which,
sure.
therapy.
The reason I brought up the World's Fair is because you were talking about getting red pilled. And I had been reading this book and I was like, I want to see like if there's more pictures. So I started YouTubing the Chicago World's Fair and then there's the St. Louis World's Fair, which that's where I'm living now. So I was like, yeah, let me look into that. And first off, you could tell why Chicago is so proud of itself and St. Louis is not. And I think it starts at the World's Fair. Like in Chicago, they were able to accomplish the impossible. Like they're called miracle workers. Everybody's amazed by it. The St. Louis one, it sounds like how people are talking about the Kansas City World Cup right now. They're like, what have we done? Why are we here? Every diary entry from people who went to the St. Louis World's Fair is like, God, it smells like shit. There's smoke everywhere and the water's dirty. And Chicago, like, they weren't perfect, but they really worked hard and got it done. And I can't help but think that that sticks with you. But when I looked it up, dude, I didn't realize the World's Fair is conspiracy heaven.
Oh, people think a lot of shit happened there?
People think a lot of shit happened here. People, because like the design that they use at the Chicago World's Fair, they've got 3 years to put this whole thing together to make it look like this incredible city. And so they dig lagoons, and the architecture that they decide to build is like this mix of like Roman classical because they can use almost like this concrete material to go over it. Long story short, to say like it makes building easier, and they thought it would look pretty to be like a testament to the entire world coming from that area.
I
You
mean,
know,
that's cool intentions.
it's cool intentions, and it ended up looking very cool. It looks very well done, right? St. Louis kind of did the same thing. They wanted to have that same idea. And what the conspiracy theorists think is because they were burned down afterwards, that is evidence that there actually was like an old world that's been here forever. It's been here since before the 1700s, and that each generation we experience, not generation, but like every era, there's like this big reset event, and then society is like started over. So they think that we discovered all of those buildings and then we burned them down to hide the evidence that there was an old world.
Okay, so that's a fun conspiracy theory.
It's very fun.
That's that there used to be like a world here, and we were like, no, we can't let the people figure this out.
Yeah, and that's why they burned all of the libraries in Alexandria. Like it now ascribes motivation to everything. And it's like total bullshit. Like I thought the first video was a prank. I thought the first video was satire. Because the St. Louis World's Fair is the Chicago one is a tribute to Columbus, right?
Wait,
The
like a tribute to Columbus, Ohio?
No,
Dude, my thought went, "Who the fuck is there?" Christopher Columbus is what you're talking about.
of course I'm talking about Christopher
Dude,
Columbus.
no one has ever said just like Columbus. They always say when Christopher Columbus discovered America. He's one of those two named people.
I
If you say Columbus, my thought went, "What
look,
the fuck are they giving a tribute to Ohio? Was
listen to
Columbus
me.
that big?"
Listen, I will give you the benefit of the doubt on most things. I will not admit to being wrong, to thinking Columbus would be satisfactory for that. I would love the idea of them doing a World's Fair for Columbus, Ohio in Chicago.
How much sway did Columbus hold? I'm not read up on my Ohio history.
Yeah, so it was 1892 is when they like opened it, but the fair didn't start until 1893 and it was called the Columbian Exposition. So they had like a mock Nina Pinta in Santa Maria. They had this giant Christopher Columbus statue that they had kind of made and molded. Um, so anyway, that was that year. And then when they did St. Louis in 1904, it was the Louisiana Purchase.
Cool.
So they were honoring the 1803 Louisiana Purchase, and all of the buildings have 1803 on them. And this guy was like, look at these photos. You're telling me these were built in 1904 with horses and buggies? Look at the side of this. You can tell just by looking here. Here, the date on the building, they inscribed it. It's 1803. But if you look here, you can see this picture was taken in 1904. So this building is 100 years older than this picture that was taken. Can you believe it? And I was like, what? I was just sitting there like, there's no way that people believe this. So then I go to the comments and everybody's like, thank you. Finally, somebody said, there was not a single person in the comments that was like, hey, do you know what date the Louisiana Purchase was? Do you know what year? It was crazy, dude. And so now I'm like getting red pilled on purpose. I'm like trying to manipulate my algorithm so I can learn more about these people.
Dude, oh yeah, so you gotta so this is like your infiltration, you're like becoming an undercover agent into the red pill community to say, "Hey," it honestly, it all goes back to the Louisiana Purchase.
Well, I imagine that this is where a lot of it starts is not just the Louisiana Purchase, but like they think that the pyramids, are it comes back to kind of like aliens, but eventually you know where all this stuff leads. Like once you think that there is a secret hidden power meant to control everything, then you just get to blame them for everything.
I mean, I believe that. There definitely there definitely is like, maybe, I don't know, a ring of billionaires that all, like, go to an island and manipulate the market and make a bunch of money.
Look, I think those two things are not necessarily the same, right? I do think that there are powerful people who influence things mightily and manipulate things to their advantage. That is true. I just don't think there's like a global Satanist cabal that started the New World Order where they control everything and hide all of our past. Like, I think the historical record is the part where I'm like, you're not going to get me to buy that the historical record is fucked. Like you can get me to buy that everything has been manipulated right now and that the markets are being controlled and that there's propaganda being pushed online, but you are not going to tell me that there is an ancient world and that actually the Grand Canyon is just animals buried really high. Like they think that they're like mystical creatures or spaceships. Like that's when you see like a big chunk of rock. They're like, obviously, look at that. It's a dead whale.
Dude, you know what the easiest argument for all these people are? Like, they think, "Oh, we're gonna hide the old world." No, like, if there was some kinda secret world order and they found that, they they would have said, "No, we can make money off of this." They found the
Yes.
Sphinx and immediately were like, "Oh, we gotta dig this bitch out and charge people to come see it."
Yes, we sent a submersible to the Titanic. We will see anything that has been destroyed. We are a desperate people.
Yeah, dude, if you go to Rome, you can like walk into a Chipotle and there's like a glass floor where you can look down and see like the structure of like the old Roman Empire. If there was an old world, it would exist and we would be charged 1750 to go and enjoy it for 2 hours.
Absolutely, and they're always like, "No, but they get the money from maintaining the power," and it's like, they don't get any power from they would get more power with
Bro, that's
money.
why are conspiracy theorists poor? I feel like they are.
Well, a lot of times, yes, but not always. Like, it does help because usually you get into conspiracies because your life is not going well. And so poverty increases the chances that your life is stressful and that things aren't going well for you. And you're trying to figure out like why you don't have control over your life. And the answer is always like, oh, it's these people rather than it is the system of capitalism that like gives you dog shit all the time. Oh, over time, it just all leads to dog shit.
Yeah.
It spikes up for a while, and then it kind of you're trying to make too much money. So,
Yeah,
like,
those people, they're like, well, I can't pay my rent today. It must be because Hitler fought World War II because of aliens.
I think kinda. Like, I think it's a simplification, but I do think that they're like, "I can't pay my rent, and I'm a good person. This must be because, uh this race of people is trying to keep me down." It always comes back to like racism and xenophobia. Like somehow Bigfoot links to anti-Semitism every time. It's wild.
Yeah, the government's hiding Bigfoot because he actually is just walking around with a Nazi armband in Seattle.
Yes, dude. This is like they're like, no, the only people Bigfoot is a connection to Antarctica where Hitler went after he jumped out of that bunker and into his time portal.
Yeah,
That
and then he moved to Nepal and he became the Yeti because he liked Bigfoot, but he didn't like the idea of a non-white Bigfoot, and so now he's just living in Kathmandu.
it honestly like it's funny to joke about, and that's why I've been like so interested in it. But people really are down bad for this. Like if you can get it on your TikTok, you realize that the only people that got there because they were interested in it. And so their comments are like, "Hey, thank you. Oh my god, finally somebody says nobody has the answers like you have the answers." And I feel like I'm the only one who's there because I'm like Jane Goodall looking at gorillas. I'm like, "Look
Yeah,
at these fucking apes, dude. They're
I'm
just
I'm gonna try to make their lives better because someone has to.
why banana high in tree, Jews." It's just like their whole argument is like, "Look at how nice these buildings were." The 1300, look at the Notre Dame Cathedral, look at the Sistine Chapel, look at all of these beautiful works of architecture, and now look at the 1960s to today. And you're like, yeah, that's
It's
called capitalism.
yeah, and it's yeah. How do we build as much as possible, as quick as possible? You make it square, and you don't put in mosaics on the ceiling.
Yes, it's as quick and as cheap. That's why they sold all of your manufacturing jobs to China so they could get in cheap prices with Walmart so that you could buy them for your family for less money. And that's the problem. It's not like Walt Disney and his seven closest friends control everybody's moves. It's like, no, this is the system we've chosen to live in. And
Yeah,
that's a harder pill to swallow than the red pill.
yeah, dude. That's God. You could debunk that whole shit. If there was an old world, no, they would have kept it so that you would travel to go see it and then buy their fucking hamburgers from McDonald's.
Immediately, it's like, do you know how much money is in tourism? Like,
Yeah,
New Orleans is a city underwater, only surviving because of tourism. Like, eventually, when New Orleans goes underwater, they're not gonna stop doing tourism. They're still gonna be doing
yeah,
Mardi Gras floats underwater.
yeah, exactly. And they're just going to name a new port, like the lower ninth ward's just going to be called New Atlantis. And that's just what it's
Yes,
going to be called.
That's why they're called floats. They were predictive.
That was the punchline.
The Mayan culture.
Man, okay, so now I gotta look into some conspiracy theories. I
It's
think my
fun,
favorite
dude.
one that's I think my favorite one that's been popping up is that Erica Kirk was actually the mastermind behind the Charlie Kirk assassination. I haven't read on it
Oh,
at all, but someone told me about it and they were like completely believed it, and I was like, that's fun.
yeah, it's definitely fun. Like, she's just so connected, and there is such a issue with, like, the Epstein class, and, again, this is how all conspiracies start, it's, like, all very coincidental, but I do have some belief that, like, I think just like 9/11, I think people knew this was happening and were not eager to stop it.
Yeah. I think I was talking to my this was like back in 2016 maybe, and I remember having no, maybe 2020. But I remember having like a heated conversation with my dad, and then we're talking about Bernie Sanders, and I was like, yeah, he like spoke out against the Gulf War or whatever. It may have been like the living wage. And my dad goes, Bernie Sanders took his honeymoon in communist Russia. And I was like, that is a conspiracy level fact that you throw at somebody when you disagree with them. Oh, they took their. I was like, that's 50 years ago, 60 years ago, and I had no idea if it was true because they throw a fact at you that you're like, I don't know if that's true, and if it, who gives a shit?
It's always the argument as it goes, "Hey," I say it to my dad or my uncle, I go, "Listen, there's 0 chance that the way you just phrased that is true, but also, even if they did, it's better than everything happening right now. Like, look around you, big dog. It's amazing how unaware people are of their surroundings. Look at the date on the building. It says 1803. Cracking me up, dude.
That's why critical thinking skills are so important in our classes. Is that you say, let's look at just a little bit of context here, y'all.
Dude, I mean, one of my number one lessons and the lesson that I got the most like appreciation for was fake news. And we spent a month on it. Like, I think if you're learning history as a senior in high school, it's way more important to learn how to analyze sources and how to fact check information than it is to regurgitate information about history. Like, I think it's the most important skill you can like give kids right now. So I had them make fake news, like
Yeah.
learn how to create it and then try to spread it. I was like, "Now let's see if we can get to catch on." Something fun, nothing crazy, nothing that leads back to anti-Semitism, but like just commit a little bit and see how easy it is.
Yeah. See if you can spread some stuff.
You can.
Oh,
It's like so easy and then here's how I knew it didn't work. They also all at the end of the lesson still believed that like snow was created by the government.
oh God. Okay. Yeah.
'Cause
I mean, at some point, like, because believing that is more fun than not believing it.
I think it's like way easier to just say that than to be like, "No, the gaseous exchange between the lighter and the snow
Yeah, it's
creates
like shut
a
the fuck
burning
up,
effect."
nerd. No,
Yeah,
it's all asbestos, and that's why cancer rates are going up, idiot.
exactly, and 5G is making, your aunt gay. That's why she left your uncle, not because he cheated on her and she was devastated, but because she got the new iPhone.
Yeah, dude. I had a guy when I was bartending in Florida. He was he was working as a cook in the back, and first day we met him, or I met him. He told me all the things he believed in, and he believed that the ball in Epcot controlled the weather, and he completely believed in 5G and like the getting like the chip and everything, and then he told me that he thought Hitler invaded Alaska because there were aliens in Alaska. And then a couple days later, one of my coworkers came up to me and he goes, "Man, dude, did you hear that Black Mike quit? It's because like apparently we didn't support his theories." And I was like, "I'm pretty sure it's because y'all called him Black Mike, actually."
Alex Jones, just calling him Fat Alex, and now he's like, "Well, now I don't even wanna do this anymore. It's not fun." Black Mike. Can you believe Black Mike quit?
I was like, yeah, I
Yep,
can believe that.
yep, seems pretty reasonable if you ask me.
Yeah, that's the one conspiracy theory that, or I guess the one theory that's not a conspiracy is racism will make you quit your job.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah,
real.
it's a bummer, and that's I always say, like, conspiracy theories are funny until you get to racism, and here's the thing, they almost always lead back to racism. It's like the Egyptians couldn't have done that. They're not smart enough. It's like, dude, we've been around for 150,000 years. Did you know that?
Did humans have been?
Yeah, they thought for a while, well, that we had entered America 150,000 years ago.
I did know that. As far as like, not Neanderthals, but like Homo sapiens had like crossed the what, Bering Strait, and then it got a little warmer, so we were like here, and that eventually developed into indigenous people and like Native Americans, right?
Yeah, but they had it's called the Clovis culture, and they thought that they were just around until like they thought they were around for like from 14,000 years ago till like the late 1300s, and then they just disappeared. But it turns out they've been around for like 150,000 years in America because it's like these arrows that they use and spear tips and like how they cut them. It's called like a Clovis arrowhead. So for me, it's like, dude, people have been designing this crazy shit for
Is
millennia.
it? I like to think that there was a guy named Clovis. Like he was like the first person to like gain sentience and be like, I should name myself. I'm gonna name myself Clovis, and I'm gonna
And
cut
I'm
these spearheads real good.
and I'm gonna make him Clovis, and I'm gonna
Yep,
name him Clovis, and I'm gonna name her Clovis.
and this is the Mississippi Delta.
Yeah, it is wild because, like, I mean, here there's in St. Louis, there's a place called Cahokia, which was the largest indigenous population in America. Was like 5 square miles, has, like, obviously what was a temple and, burial mounds and all kinds of the stuff you would see in, like, indigenous at a Mayan temple, and people are like, "Those are buried spaceships."
Dude, just it's already cool enough, and it doesn't
Isn't
have
it
to be a
fun to think? Isn't it more fun to be like, people like me lived here 13,000 years ago and also thought, "I wish we had a pool." That's fun.
That's way more cool than being like, no, it's aliens. No, we did that shit. That was
We
cool, man.
There was another dude trying to do a Saturday with the bros.
Yeah. Clovis said, hey, y'all know if you eat these mushrooms, some shit happens to you. Let's go eat these mushrooms and go sit in the river.
Yes, Clovis was trying to hang out with his wang out and go floating in a tube down a river drinking, I don't know, probably ayahuasca or something, but like they were trying to have a good time, make a little love, get down tonight. They were just people. I think that's way more interesting. That was the thing I felt reading the book is being like, all of these people, they're just people. And like all of the ones who have like crazy success immediately, like a couple of them continue to succeed and a lot of them are like, "Oh, I'm amazing." And so they fail. They just like get way too ahead of themselves and they stink. And it's like, yeah, dude, we're all these people. It hasn't changed as much as we want to say that it's changed. We can just have color on our clothes now. That's the only
that's
difference.
that's what it is. Yeah, we're all the same people. I am Clovis. We're
I
all
am
Clovis.
Clovis.
Hashtag we are Clovis.
Me, she, we, Clovis.
Clovis. That's
Yeah,
it, man.
next time we come back, you'll have to learn me a new conspiracy theory. You'll have to teach me one. That can be what this podcast is just us doing conspiracy theories. That's what they need. Two white dudes doing conspiracy theories.
Yeah, this is called the lonely mailbag, and it's us just red pilling dudes.
I would,
Yeah,
dude, I think it would be fun for you to check in on them because I would like to see what you find that interests you. But this,
Oh, I
like, it's
bet.
called Tartaria, okay? It's the old world and Tartaria. That's what they call them. They think Tartaria is one of the eras. It used to be on these old maps. Like you could find the Tartaria region of Russia, and now they're all wiped off the maps. And do you know why? Huh, Lou? Do you know why? Nobody does. And that's the point.
Okay. Well, I was about to say, I was like, probably something racist. It's probably
Oh,
something
no, it
someone
was.
else
No,
did.
I mean, people have ideas. They think that it was the like Islamic region of Russia and the Tartarians were like Islamic peoples during Stalin's like heavily atheist run. So he thinks that people think that he just wiped them off the face of the map and then made sure, geographically and symbolically to cut them out. So on all maps, it's like Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. It's like, no, we want to erase them. Let's make them the
Oh yeah,
51st state so that it's all America, is just what Stalin did to the Tartarians. And it's like, that's a cooler story.
yeah.
That's so much cooler than an ancient fucking Atlantis dude.
Yeah. And also like, hey, that also happened 500 miles away in Tibet. That's kind of what's going on in that
It
region
just
right
keeps
now.
happening. Isn't that crazy? And it's almost like by creating other stories that truly aren't based in reality, that we are missing the point and continuing the cycle. The real conspiracy is the conspiracies were created so that you wouldn't focus on the real issues at
That's
hand.
it. There is a group of people out there controlling us by saying we got to put out some shit.
And they're on YouTube, and their name is Jared Friedrichs, and I Saw Signs 84.
That's them. They knew it. So, all right. I think we gotta make some closing remarks so you can go to therapy.
I do have to go to therapy. We are going to be on tour very soon. You and I get to see each other. We get to reunite. I'm going to be in Pensacola next week, but then after that, you and I are in Denver and Louisville. You and Miss Redacted are in Raleigh and
Greensboro.
Greensboro. And then what? We're in New York. We're in the South. We got bad routing for this run, dude. This July run, we're going from Albany, New York, Syracuse to Greensboro again. We're doing Greensboro 100 times
Yep.
into Atlanta, into Birmingham. And then we're back on the West Coast. We're in Kansas City, anywhere around there. If you live in a city, probably just check the links.
We're coming.
We're probably
And
coming.
and we're spreading misinformation in your community.
And well, actually, we're spreading information about misinformation, which some people could construe as misinformation, and I'm sure the algorithms will. But God, that's the other thing, man. Is it's like it's not a conspiracy; it's the algorithms are doing this to us.
Oh, I mean, I can believe that Mark Zuckerberg is like a part lizard person or robot, and he's like, I got to spread some conspiracy theories to get the heat off me.
See, this is how it gets started. Look at
Yeah,
us.
we're part of it.
But yeah, do
So
you have any other shows coming up, or are those kind of all of yours?
I got some local shows in Denver, and then I'm headlining a club by myself without you for and I'm headlining a weekend, and
You haven't told me this.
that's at the Comedy Cabin in March of next year.
In March of next year, you're plugging for March of next year.
Look, if anyone from Janesville, Wisconsin is listening to this, I'm going to be headlining the Comedy Cabin, 3 shows in, I can't remember the date. It's March something of
You've only got one
2027.
date for 2027 and you can't remember what it is.
No.
I love this. All right. Well, it's been fun. Hopefully I get to see you here soon. And this has been a good time. So see you
Yep.
soon.
This has been Learning with Lou. Steven. See
Peace.
ya.